Day 8 of Adrian Gonzales trial wrapped up on Thursday, and here's what happened. It's a great day for a great day. My name is Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. Witness number 34, Daniel Coronado, was called to the stand. He's a retired sergeant with the Uvalde Police Department. He was one of the first officers at the scene. He explained that if a situation happened on school grounds, that typically the school police would take primary jurisdiction. They have a working relationship between them, and they can help them in certain situations as well. On that day, he had his handheld pew-pew, ballistic vest, baton, 2 pairs of handcuffs, extra magazines, pepper spray, a taser, and a tourniquet. He was at the police station when a call came in for shots fired near the campus. When he arrived at the school, he saw officers taking cover behind the vehicles, and at that time, he thought that they were receiving gunfire. He then said that he asked the officers where it was coming from, and they said that they didn't know. He started determining his plan of action, and he also saw Chief Arredondo appear, and at that time, he felt relieved to see him, that he had someone there with him, and he knew this person. They started running towards the school. After hearing gunfire, he instructed 2 officers to run inside the building, and they did. Those 2 officers ended up being Gonzales and Page. He discussed what the school looked like when he entered. As they were walking through the school, they heard gunfire, and Officer Martinez, who was in front of him, grabbed the back of his head. They asked him, "Were you hit?" And he said yes. His head was grazed by a metal projectile. And then he also shouted that the monster was in a room to his left. Then he and Officer Gonzales ran out of the south end and started doing radio traffic of what was going on. There was a discussion between Arredondo and Gonzales about calling SWAT. Coronado was asked if by them discussing calling SWAT was opposite of confronting the monster, and he said, "No, I think we were trying to formulate a plan to confront the monster." When they got outside, Gonzales did call SWAT. When they were outside, since there were officers in the hallway and he and Gonzales were concerned that he might jump out, Gonzales immediately positioned himself on the corner watching the windows. At the 11:36 mark in his body cam, Coronado said that the monster may be in the building, and then when he heard gunshots, he called out, "Shots fired, get inside, go, go, go." This is when you hear dispatch saying that a female was shot in the face on Diaz Street, which was the monster's grandma. At the 11:40 mark, Gonzales is seen with his weapon in his holster. Then there was a break for the jurors. Then after the break, direct examination continued and the dispatch audio was played for the jurors. On cross-examination, they talked about a slew of things. One of the things they talked about was the position of the body cam and where it was located on his chest, and how some people wear it in one spot, other people wear it in another. They also discussed about when you're using a high-powered rifle, how when it's around a building, it can make a ricocheting sound, and you can't really tell really clearly off front where that sound is coming from. Also discussed some of the officers that were on the scene and what their actions were during that time. Also discussed intently about the information that was coming over the radio, what was heard, what wasn't heard, when that information was given. I think this was a really good witness for the defense. After lunch, when the jury came back, the judge told them that there was one juror that was missing from the pool of them, and that was because his wife was taken to the hospital and he had to leave. And the judge said that there are alternates, but he cannot just pick an alternate and put him in there unless he knows the exact status of that juror and the situation. So they're going to come back on Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. and they're going to determine whether or not they're going to have to get an alternate juror brought in, or if the other juror is going to be able to return to him. So day 8 wrapped up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following along. Here's the question of the day. With the last witness that they had, it seemed like he was on the defensive side trying to show that Officer Gonzales was not trying to delay his action or not take action, that they were trying to formulate a plan. The prosecutor directly asked him if by, discussing calling SWAT, if that was not confronting the monster. And he's like, no, that's us formulating a plan. Makes sense in police work, right? What do you think? Do you think that that testimony hurts the prosecutor's case? Or do you think that they're still on track trying to get a guilty verdict here? Let me know in the comments.